Hi, I'm Nan Simonson. I am so excited to share this recipe with you. It's a bit of a mystery. I've been collecting recipes for years and years. I don't know when I found this recipe. There was a reference in it and there was no name, but a reference that it had been adapted from this person's CRAM Muffins. And I thought, let's see if I can find CRAM Muffins. Well, I found CRAM Muffins in a place called mecook.com. And they were attributed to somebody named Diane, where are you? Oh, Gail George. So if you know who Gail George is, thank you. This is a great recipe. When I found it, it was part of a 2-layer carrot cake. And there is included in this, not in what I'm offering, because I made it and I just didn't see the point, of a spread, what she called a frosting, made out of sweet potatoes and banana and dates. And when I made this, I thought, you know what, this is perfect the way it is. So I'm calling it Rustic Carrot Cake because you're gonna see what I mean. It's just a bunch of whole foods. It's a marvelous combination, and I hope you think so too. So I'm gonna begin, and the recipe that she had, because it was a double layer, I cut in half, so that's what we're looking at here. And that's why you're gonna see some odd numbers, but I mean, they were even odd in the original recipe, 1.5 tablespoons. So what's a half a tablespoon? It's 1.5 teaspoons. So anyway, you're gonna see some of that. So let me begin. We begin here with bananas, and as the author says, Gail George, if this is hers, and I believe it is because I couldn't find CRAM Muffins anywhere else. CRAM standing for carrot, raisin, applesauce, and millet, all of which is in here. Okay, and I'm calling it carrot cake, but rustic carrot cake, but you're gonna see that I'm going to do something a little different this time. I've made it before, absolutely loved it. Actually, somebody requested this video from me because I showed the cake, well, at least what was left of it, along with a chocolate cherry brownie cake that we were serving up in the mountains, having to do with a meal that I was calling the perfect taco night meal, and that's a video of mine. Okay, so she said in her recipe that she recommends the most ripe bananas you have. So I had a bunch of ripe bananas the last time I made this, and I froze a couple of them that I wasn't going to use. I do that all the time. Well, when they defrost, they get kind of brown and they're very mushy looking, but it's still the same quantity as that original banana, and it was very, very ripe, you know, really black mottled on the outside. Well, I didn't have any more of that. So what I did instead is I'm adding a little date paste, and you'll know what you want in terms of a recipe. So make it like this and then decide, that's sweet enough, it's not sweet enough. Maybe I want it even less sweet. So I'm adding what you're seeing here, which is the mashed frozen banana, or actually it just disintegrates when you defrost it, and a banana I had here that was a lot less sweet because it was a lot less dark. And I'm adding to all of this applesauce. I just bought the little cups of applesauce from Trader Joe's, or you can buy a big jar of applesauce. And if you, like me, don't eat applesauce normally, then freeze it. Freeze it in, I freeze it in something called the super cubes into 1/2 cup, well, kind of cube shapes, and put them in a baggie and then just take them out that way for recipes like this. But I didn't have any more of the applesauce, so I just used the little cups that I found at the store. I'm adding a little bit of date paste, and date paste is dates that have been ground with water. It's a whole food, and you'll find my recipe at nansimonson.com or even a video. Do I have a video for date paste? Oh, I don't remember. Okay, and then I'm adding to that some baking soda and baking powder, and I'm adding vanilla powder. This is a very costly way to enjoy vanilla, but oh my gosh, it lasts a long time, but it is delicious. The vanilla beans are simply scraped out of the pods and then ground, and so there's no alcohol, there's no processing other than being scraped and ground, and it's absolutely delicious. Maybe it wouldn't make as much of a difference in a recipe like this when there's so much going on, but if you're doing a chia pudding, or you're doing a something where the purity of, or the restriction of a lot of other things going on is going to show off the vanilla, then the packaged vanilla is really well worth it. You can just get it on Amazon. And the reason I say ridiculously expensive is this little bag, and it's 1 ounce. It was $25, but I've had it for months and months and months and months and months, because how much of it am I going to use? A half a teaspoon at a time, or a teaspoon at a time. And then we're adding to this apple cider vinegar. And I like the Bragg's apple cider vinegar, or any apple cider vinegar that still has what they call the mother, which it means the active fermenting body in there. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mash this up, and then I'm going to throw in the vinegar at the last second. Sorry. Isn't this the cutest little thing? This is a little Cuisinart. I've only seen it online, and the value is I can do something this small in a carafe that's this small. A traditional food processor can be really quite large. Okay, now I'm going to add the vinegar, and what's going to happen is it's really going to activate the baking soda, especially. Okay, now I'm going to let this, oh, you should see it. It's kind of bubbling and talking to me, saying, woohoo! All right, I'm going to put what we'll call the dry ingredients in the bowl, because traditionally you add wet to dry in a bowl. So I have, because I cannot have gluten, have to buy gluten-free oats. I like the old-fashioned rolled oats. That means they're a little thicker. I also go with organic because our grains are heavily sprayed with glyphosate to what they call desiccate them, dry them out before they're being hulled or shucked from the plant. And I prefer not to have any of the chemicals in there. So this is what I get. I like to get it bulk from my health store because it's far less expensive than buying it bagged. But any way you can find it is just fine. So that's rolled oats. This is apple, and I wanted a sweet apple, and so this is Honeycrisp apple that before I put the bananas in, I put, I don't know, about a little more than a half an apple at a time. This took about an apple and a half to give me the 2 cups of apple that I was looking for. And then I'm throwing in a couple of cups of shredded carrot, and it took about 7 to 8 ounces of shredded carrot, or of carrot to shred to give me 2 cups, but you want 2 cups lightly packed. And this was a cup and a half of banana. In addition, we're using a flour, and going along with her original recipe, I bought millet, little teeny grain millet, and this keeps it whole food, and simply whirred it in my blender to give me ground millet. Well, if I didn't have millet, I could have used more oatmeal, just oats thrown in the blender and made into a a powder, a ground, we call it a flour, but not as well processed or completely processed as a flour would be. And yet, the more something is processed, the less the fiber is going to affect us, but still, this is close to whole foods because it was a millet quickly ground and it's in its coarsest way. And why do I want this? Because we need something as a bit of a binder. There's no egg, no oil, no sugar. The only sweetener here that you saw was that date paste. And that's it. And I'm adding raisins. So in the recipe, I know, because I made some changes to the recipe, that's why I said adapted from CRAM Muffins. So these are golden raisins, and I love currants. All right, currants on the floor, because currants are tiny. They're smaller than regular raisins, and they're nicely sweet. You have to kind of break them apart a little if they're stuck together, but they're tiny, which means if I use a half a cup of currants, they're in every single bite. If I use a half a cup of golden raisins, not so much. So I thought, I'll use half and half. I wanted to show you, but you can do it whichever way you like. That does add additional sweetness. Let's add the banana. And as I said, the recipe as I saw it initially, this is really bubbling up. Okay. The recipe as I saw it initially was for a 2-layer cake. And you can find some wonderful vegan, well, I don't know about, I was going to say I don't know about sugar-free, but yes, you can. Vegan, sugar-free frostings. And hers is a sugar-free frosting, but again, I loved it just the way it was. I didn't want to add anything else that was moist and more banana and date paste and all of that. I just didn't see the point. And you'll see if you love the texture of this the way I do. It's like baking your favorite whole foods. What have we put in here? Carrot. Banana. Apple. Some apple sauce. And for the baking soda, baking powder, use the best you can, not the aluminum kind. You can find baking soda that's also sodium free, but we only used 1.5 teaspoons of what there was of each one of them. Okay. And clean off the blade a little. So what I was saying about the blender is that it was Cuisinart. You can find it online, I believe, or just go to Cuisinart because I broke the cover and I was able to order parts, and that was only a few months ago, so it's still in production. And maybe it's $50, but I've used it for years, and I make a lot of my salad dressings with this because it's, again, a very small carafe, easy to clean, easier than, let's say, my Vitamix, which I use constantly. But if I can use that instead for a salad dressing or a hummus, my favorite hummus, you'll see it on nansimonson.com or on YouTube, is one that I got from Brenda Davis, vegan for 30 years, very well-known Canadian dietitian, registered dietitian, written several books. And that hummus is with, well, the version I use that I like of hers is hummus that has roasted red bell pepper, and then of course your chickpeas, and it has tahini. So it's really lovely. Okay, no added oil. Okay, so now I have a mixture of basically whole foods, bound by banana, moistened with applesauce. There's a tablespoon of date paste. I'm gonna see what I think of it. I think that's so good. So here are my options. The first time I made it, remember I was having the recipe of a 2-layer cake. I have a layer, 9 inches. I cut a piece of parchment paper. I figured if I'm cutting one, I'll cut several of them. And I still have this one. And I liked having it like this. I liked pressing it in here and cooking it this way and having it in these very thin slices. I thought it was just, I don't know, just elegant and nice to have this pointed little cake. You can serve it with a vanilla nice cream or soy ice cream, or the way I did with nothing at all but a cup of tea or coffee or whatever you like to drink. And another option is a silicone muffin pan. And since I haven't done this, and you're going to see at the end of the video a photo of it in the cake form, just what it would look like a slice of cake. I want to show it to you as a muffin, but also I might as well figure out how many of these I get. Okay, so let's just see how many I can fill, and I'm going to go back and press it in. I don't think, well, from my experience of it as a cake, it doesn't rise a lot, even though we have baking soda and baking powder. It doesn't rise a lot because look at all these heavy ingredients. Although we have the leavening agents, and as you saw, the vinegar to really activate that soda, it's too dense. And there's not enough lightweight ingredients like a flour to make it rise, which is what I loved about it. As I said, I felt like I was having just this wonderful cooked combination of delicious fruits. And I'm going to go back, add some more, and we're going to look at ultimately how many I think I'm going to get, but I'm not going to keep you waiting. Basically, I'm going to go back, I'm going to fill these to about this degree. Whatever is left, I'll bake separately. What I intend to do with this is what I did with my cake. We served half of it for Easter, half of the chocolate cherry brownie cake for Easter, the other half, and a half of the carrot cake to our guests. That's all anyone could eat. They got 2 slices or a slice of each, and then we served it with a soy ice cream, a vanilla soy ice cream. People loved it, and they were warm. And the other half I froze. So I know this freezes just fine. And as I said, it's just dense and moist. When you defrost it, you'll slice it. Or with the muffins, you'll be able to just heat the muffins lightly. You can keep them in the freezer. Many times with a muffin this size, I won't want the whole thing if I just want a light snack, in which case I'll just cut it in half and have more of it another time. The other thing is, with something this nutritious, this could easily be a breakfast. When wouldn't you have a breakfast of oats and banana and apple and again, applesauce and nuts and raisins? It would be actually a rather nice breakfast. And I would add to that, let's say, a glass of soy milk. I do that. Nothing but soy and water. I get that at Trader Joe's because soy milk is loaded with protein, and this has protein from the oats. Okay, so I have here 12 muffins, and I'm going to say enough to do a couple more. What I'm going to do is, this is the only muffin pan that I have that I have this size, but I do have a very small like a ramekin a couple of ramekins, and I'm going to fill them and just do this all at once. I don't want to go back and bake it again. I'll be baking, and so you can see that you can play with this. I will bake it for 40 to 45 minutes. That was for the cake, and so I'll see what happens with it as a cupcake, and all of that will be written in the recipe. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. I am Nan Simonson. I am the author of Aging Powerfully, and my mission at 71 years old is to help people understand that with lifestyle as medicine, the way we move every day, the way we communicate with others and have people in our lives, those we love, those we care for, those who care for us, community is what it's called, resilience, sleeping, getting stress relief, and then finally, nutrition. Nutrition means anything we put in our body, avoiding addictive substances, but the nutrition that I promote, and thus what you've seen today, is whole food, plant-based, no animal product at all, no oil, no sugar, no, and very little salt. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got something out of it, and make it a great day, because I know I will.